The next are the ratios to evaluate the asset management. So we have here ratios relating to receivables. This one is relating to the inventory, and then ako for payables, na po payable turnover, AP days, na ay operating cycle, na ay cash conversion cycle, turnovers, usually mga turnovers ni siya ang naasa asset management. Then for the turnover, so we have receivable turnover, na ay inventory turnover. There's also payable turnover, na po total asset turnover. So the formula for this one is net credit sales over average accounts receivable. So by the way, don't be confused if in some illustrations they do not use average. Some prefer the ending balance instead of average. And how do we get the average? One way is if you're going to add the beginning balance and the ending balance. So beginning AR and ending AR and divide it by 2. In some books, they just prefer to use the ending balances. So it's either based on ending balance or based on average balance. Then for the numerator, in some books, if they do not provide you the information, how much would be the credit portion, kasi diba, the sales is not really totally credit, diba, na man ay combination of cash sales, na po credit sales. So, if the problem does not provide, kung silent siya as to computation or determination of the credit nga portion of your sales, then you can use the entire nga sales. But in some problems, you can compute for the credit sales as long as na ay mahatag nga given unya ma-work back nimo how to get the credit sales. Ang importante nga naman nga credit sales yun ang gamiton because we're talking about receivable. It's not proper to include in your turnover for the receivables the cash sales, diba? So that's why katujong credit sales. Kaya maura man siya associated with receivables. Then we have the average collection period. Other names kini siya kung naamoy mga mahinagbuan nga mga terms, maura ni siya, parehas na siya. Average collection period is the same with accounts receivable days, age of receivables, day sales outstanding. So daghan kay na siya mga names pero they are the same, and they also have different formulas, mga alternatives, but again these formulas will still arrive with the same answer. Gipang bali-bali lang ni siya, lahi ang nimutang sa numerator, pero ang ini-perform nimo sa operations, same lang gihapon na siya. Ini-compute sa calcu, same lang gihapon ang mugawas. Okay? If base ending balance, delete na. Yes, if it's already ending balance, you're not going to divide it by 2. Okay. Okay, going back. So, this first formula is useful if you already computed previously your turnover. So, mas dali na siya. If the turnover is given, you can use this first formula. So, number of days in a year. So, what is this number of days in a year? It depends on the problem. If it states 360 or 365, that's number of days in a year. In some books, they even use 350. I-base nila sa number of days nga nag-open ang ilahang office, so i-exclude nila ang mga holidays, yung na. So, depende sa problem kung sa yung state. If it's 360, 365, or some other number of days. Then, again, if the turnover is already given, then you can use this immediately, this formula. But if in the given problem, you're not required to answer the RTO, and then you have the given receivables, net sales, and number of days in a year. Again, this net sales is credit ni siya ha. If we're talking about receivables, automatic na siya that we are considering credit sales. Okay, again, you cannot associate your cash sales with the receivables because if it's cash sales, wala naman na siya debit to receivable. So this is an alternative. So you have average AR over net sales divided by number of days in a year. If you can observe in the formula, di ba? Katong turnover nga diri, mo man na siya dapat nga denominator. Pero the components of turnover is credit sales and AR, nagyapon siya ni nga formula. Pero lahi lang ang arrangement. But again, you will still arrive with the same answer if you're using this first formula. Or another pag yun, if dili ta ganahan og magsigig divide, na ay lain nga ways. Times, kani siya kay AR divided by ang answer or sa tawag ani niya, quotient. Sakto ba? Quotient sa net sales and days in a year. So, puro siya divide, di ba? Kani siya na multiplication. So, mas dali siya ining compute sa calc yung nga tuloy-tuloy. So, AR, again, this is average AR times number in a year divided by net credit sales. So, it's easier to sana compute kay times divide man siya. Kaysa atong divide niya, divide na po. So, again, this will provide you with the same answer. So, this measures the average time it takes to collect your receivable. So, mao na siya nga day sales outstanding or AR days because it will tell you how many days usually I can collect my receivables. Okay? If no number of days given, usually pila ang gamiton. If the problem, based din siya sa akong na-observe, no? If usually, if foreign books na siya, they use 365 days. They presume a whole year, yun nga, perfect attendance. Okay, usually ngun ana. But if it is a multiple choice problem and silent ang 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 given, it's either you try 360 and 365 and whatever may mutunong sa choices then that is the number of days. Okay? Okay man sad siya kay multiple choice man. Okay. So if given ang beginning and ending balance, unsay sundon, usually if it's if it's going to be applied in real life, no, it will be identified. But if it is in the problem and the problem is silent and usually multiple choice man jud ang ansiran nato, usually they only use one way. Dili man na sila mo hatag og choices wherein na ay ending balance ra pod ang base na magawas ang answer o niya another choice pod kay naa pod tong average pod. So usually usa ra gyud na siya. So i-try ninyo both if the problem is silent unya multiple choice na siya. Try 365 and you also try 360 because again it usually wala mamang ko nakasugat nga it will give two answers nga one is based on I know it will give both in the choices wherein ang isa is average niya ang usa kay ending. So i-try lang po sa duha. But if it's an open-ended question, so preferably na ay provision as to the number of days. But in real life, if you're going to apply it in real life, you can ask man what would be the base. Is it number of days in a year? Is it 365 or is it 360 or some other number of days? Okay. Then inventory turnover. If you are going to observe somewhat same siya og structure with the RTO wherein the numerator is an income statement component, 'di ba? Income statement component credit sales, but this time for inventory, it is using the cost of sales. Then denominator is on the SFP nga component. So this one is for receivable, the other one is for average inventory. Since inventory turnover siya, so dapat the denominator is also inventory. So, what is the use of turnover di ay? So, whether RTO na siya or ITO. So, the turnover will help you determine how many times For example, receivable is created and collected. And for ITO, how many times the inventory is created and sold. So therefore, unsa may preferable for this one? Mas daghan, the higher the turnover, the better, or the lower turnover, the better? What do you think? For the RTO and ITO, what do you think? Is it the higher the turnover, the better, or the lower turnover, the better? And sa man siya, higher or lower? You can write your answers in the chat box. Okay. Okay, the higher the better. Because, di ba, how many times it's created and collected? So, kung kaghanta na ka generate og sales, di ba? Kung there is a RTO, if this is a huge amount, for example, this is 1 million, okay. So, for example, your credit sales is 1 million. So, tayo RTO ni mo. Okay. Hindi siya musuwat. Okay, so for example, this is 1 million. Then we have your average receivables is 10,000. So that would be 10 million, sorry, 1 million divided by 10. So that's 100. Sakto ba? 100. Okay. 100. 100. 1 million divided by 10. Okay, so 100. So this means this is 100 times. So 100 times na siya nga na generate within the year. And the same with your inventory. The same na gihapon iyang principle nga the higher the better. Because if the higher would be your ITO, kadaghan ta nakagama og inventory og nakabaligya. Kaya naman siya sa cost of sales. And then how about for the average collection period? What do you think would be the better? The shorter, the better? The longer, the better? That is both for your days, AR days. AR days, day sales outstanding. So, siya, the longer the better, the shorter the better. So, if we're talking about receivable days or collection period, of course, the shorter, the better, di ba? We don't want to wait for several months before we can collect our receivables. Because pag makollect na nato ang money, we can use it again, di ba, in our operations. Makapalit na sa tao bagong inventory or makabayad na ta sa mga utang. Unya kung makabayad ta sa utang, acquire na sad ta, makapangutang na sad ta for inventories na sad balik, di ba? So, I can't wait forever. So, the shorter or mas paspas ang collection, that would be better for the firm. How about for the inventory days? Inventory days, age of inventories, again, same with the AR days, napod siya yung mga variations. Same lang yun siya pod nga ang denominator diri receivable turnover kanay pod ITO anya kani di ba instead of net sales cost of sales ang gamit anya instead of AR this would be inventory and the same pod diri di ba AR gipulihan ra inventory instead of credit sales cost of sales so na siya pattern di ba pare-pareha mao-mao ra siya. How about for the inventory days? What do you think? Is it the shorter the better, the longer the better? For your inventory days. Okay, this is the time, average time to create and sell inventory. Okay. So the shorter gihapon, di ba? Masindot man og dali ra mahuman ang product, di ba? Kay kung dali ra mahuman og gama ang product, dali ta makabaligya. Okay? Nya kung dugay mahuman, what if 1 month pa siya before you can complete a product? So it means ikapila naman ka sa usa ka tuig makabaligya. Tay 30 days usa ang mahuman og gama ang usa ka product. This means that you can you can sell only 12 times a year, 'di ba? So mo na siya nga okay. So the shorter the period to complete or to make your inventory, that would be the better. Okay. Then another, this is for the payable turnover. Okay. So if you're going to compute for the turnover, so ang magawas nga answer ana kita mo ingon 5, 4 nga na. That is number of times. Okay, so mo yung tag tayo ang answer adto kay 10. So that would be 10 times. What is your payable turnover? That's 10 times. So 10 times within the period. Or if you're going to compute for the RTO, the receivable turnover, so tayo 4 times. Kani siya kaning mga AR days, mga inventory days, o payable deferral period, this is in number of, is this in terms of days. So, pag na mo gawas nga answer, ana niya, dapat days. Dahil 4 days, 30 days. So, that's the average time to pay suppliers. Okay, so that's for the average age of payable or payable days or payable deferral period. Okay, so number of days in a year over payable turnover. Okay. Okay. There is a disadvantage. Sure, if sobra ka kapas, kapas, stockpile pa niya, stagnant ang uban. Okay, paspas din. Okay, that is why you have another lesson later on working capital management, specifically in inventory management, wherein we're going to compute the reorder point. So the reorder point here, if you're not going to create your inventory, but if you're going to buy the materials or you're going to buy the merchandise, the reorder point will determine when is the right time to order nga dili ta masubraan sa stocks, dili pud ta out of stock. So na ay formula for that to determine what is the right time. So the reorder point is in terms of units. So for example, ang answer is 1,000. So that's in terms of units. Meaning, if ang level sa imong inventory is 1,000 na, kinahanglan na ka mo order. Because you're going to consider in the reorder point the number of days before the order will be received. Diba naman ay lead time? That's the number of days from the time you order and until the time you will receive the order. So, dili man siya automatic, diba nga, when you order the product, it will arrive immediately. So, na may uban nga, it will take several days pa, na 3 days, 4 days. So, muna siya computed dito sa reorder point. Nga, just in time siya nga, dili ka ma-stock out or dili pud mag-abot ang tanang inventory. Okay? Then, how about for the payable turnover? What do you think? Is it the shorter, the better? The longer, the time, the better for your payable deferral period? What do you think? How about for the payable deferral? Deferral is ano man siya, unya sa bayaran. Unsa man kadugay ang pag-delay. Okay. The shorter the better, the shorter. Okay. So same, the shorter the better. Okay. Wala pa mo ka agi sa lesson on working capital management before in your business finance. I think there is a lesson in business finance on this one. I handled the business finance before, and then Na-appeal man po na siya sa ako ang topic. Pero sa first batch to siya. First batch of um to na ay mag-bridging before. Okay. If you already have your lesson in working capital management, if you're going to scan your manual, okay, on payable management, what does it say on payable? What is the um, suggestion? Ma-open ba ninyo?
Chair,
Yes.
akong nabasahan kay if kanang mas dako ang increase sa equity kay mag-indicate nga favorable kay they indicate strengthening of the long-term financial position by the end of year. So mura siya ni suggest nga mas nice if mobuo ra ang accounts payable, Chair.
Okay. So if we're talking about, depende po na siya because you're going to balance man the interest of the investors and also the interest of the creditors. Of course, if you're the person who worries about the future, no, you would want that you're going to pay your liabilities para wala na daghang hassle. But according to working capital management, no, uh, if we're looking at the short period of time, kanang shorter nga period ang ato ang hunahunahon, not for the long term, it's preferable that your payable deferral will be longer, but longer not to the point that you're going to miss the deadline. Okay, so for example, you're given 30 days to pay for your utang tahay na kay supplier. And then the credit period is 30 days. So when should you pay your liability, your payable? So if you're going to read the chapter sa lesson sa working capital management, it is advised that you're going to stretch your payables. What does it mean if you're going to stretch your payable? So if you're given 30 days to pay, you're not going to pay on the first day, you're not going to pay on the second day, you're not going to pay on the third day or even on the uh, 28th or 29th day, but you're going to pay on the 30th day yun. On the last day, in short, on the last day, on the deadline, but not that late nga himbayad ka sa deadline pero ang posting niya kay the following day na, so you have to take note of that, di ba? Because in some companies wherein they allow to pay online or sa bank ba na siya, that the posting would be different, would be different date. So that would be a problem kay og malapas ka, so ma-default ka, wala ka nito nung sa bayad. So i-check mo nimo nga igo-igo nga kanang pagbayad nimo nga ng adlaw is ma-post na siya on the due date. What is the reason? Why is it that you're going to pay on the 30th day? Because there are opportunity cost of your money. So, an opportunity cost sa money. That if you have used your money into something that will provide more earnings to you, and you did not choose that option, so na ay opportunity for gone. So, for example, naa kay utang nga 1 million. You already have the money on day 1. And then, you're contemplating if you're going to pay it now or later pa ba. But unsa man siya nga later, after 10 days pa or after 20 days. Just imagine if your money is just kept in the bank, wherein dili pud siya nga nakadako ang interest nga ma-earn sa bangko from day or mas or what if dili siya 1 million kita ay 10,000 baka na siya dili na nimo i-deposit sa bangko, and then you're going to keep that in your vault for the next 10 days before you're going to pay that to your giutangan. What will happen to your money? Naabay na usab sa imong kwarta from day 1 to day 10. What if you decide to pay it on the 10th day? Naabay na hitabo sa imong kwarta kung naara to siya sa vault ninyo, nasa pitaka, nasa cash register. What will happen to your money? Wala, di ba? It's the same. If you pay on the first day and you pay on the 10th day, naabay kalahian sa side sa imuhang pagka-utangan, pagka-debtor nimo. Is there a difference if you pay on the first day and on the 10th day as a credit, as a debtor? Well, it make your utang lesser. Depende if na ay discount, di ba? If na ay discount, unsa po yung rule? If you're a debtor and there is a discount and if you have the money, you need to compute the opportunity cost for the discount. That's why naapoy formula for the discount loss. Kaya kung mas dako ang mawa, diba? Kung mas dako ang mawa nimo nga income kumpara sa discount nimo nga makuha kung nibayad ka og sayo, so dili ka mo bayad og early, di ba? So unsa may pasabutan na, ma'am. So balik ta sa akong example na kay 10,000. Nya kay mong 10,000, what if na maligya kag load kintahay kay masayon man na siya ning load. Maligya kag og load. Nya pila may mahimong ginansya sa imong 10,000 kung panangitan kabalo na ka nga halin gyud kaayo kana kusog gyud kayo imong loading nga business ba. Sa sud sa 10 days, sure gyud na siya nga naa dyan mamalit og load or magkurot-kurot gyud ka namang patok gyud kay mong business ba. Nya sure gyud ka nga mahalinan gyud ka within the 10 days ya. For example, ang ginansya sa 10,000 nga load kay 1,000. Okay? Ang ginansya sa load kay 10,000 sa 10,000 nga load kay 1,000. So that's already 10%, di ba? 10% imuhang na-receive. What if katong 10,000 nimo gibayad nimo sa day 1? What will happen with the supposed to be income nimo kung imuha sa siyang puhunan unya pag katong nahalin na nabaligyan na ang load nakaginansya ka og 1,000 within kitahay 10 days. What will happen kung ibayad na nimo na siya on day 1? Would you get 1,000 nga income from your puhunan kung ibayad nimo siya largo? Wala, di ba? So wala siya ginansya. Mo na siya nga as a businessman, you need to think if it's wiser for you to use it for the meantime. Use it for the meantime so that it can earn and mabalik ang money. And ining mabalik ang money, you can now pay for your utang. 'Di ba? Unsa may nakanindot adto nga gidelay nako siya. Nindot siya nga i-delay if imuhang money nagamit nimo na siya for something worthwhile or something that is income generating. And you must ensure that mabalik gyud tong money nga imuhang gigamit. Kay para just in time you can pay for your utang. So balik ta atong 30 days nako. So within the span of 30 days, if ang 10,000 nimo mo earn og 1,000 per 10 days, so how many times naman siya nag-earn sa sud sa 30 days adto? Diba? Ang 10,000 mo earn siya 1,000 in 10 days. Unya 30 days man imuhang credit period sa imuhang giutangan. So meaning sa sud sa 30 days makaginansya ka og 3 times. 'Di ba? Kay 10,000 sa sud sa 10 days kay naay 1,000. Unya sa sud sa 30 days ikatulo man siya nimo mabalik na sad, di ba? Mabalik na sad nimo ang money. Plus tong 1,000 pwede pa nimo ipuhunan og balik, di ba? Tong unang ginansya sa first 10 days, di ba? Mahimo na siyang 10,100 niya. Ibalik na po nimo ang 10,100. So sa 1,000 na po ginansya. Pagka second na po nimo nga ibalik na sad nimo ang money for operation, so nakaginansya na sad ka og bag-o. 'Di ba? So ang imong 2,000 nga total nga ginansya mapaginansya na pod in the next na pod nga 10 days. So 'di ba hintubo imo ang money. So if i-base lang nimo sa 10,000 alone, although mutubo man pod tong 1,000 nimo, 'di ba na kay 3,000 on 10,000 lang ang basis. 'di ba? But if you pay that immediately on day one, can you get 3,000 or more? Na ba kay makuha nga 3,000 kung gibayad nimo siya sa day one or sa day 10 or sa day 15? 'Di ba wala? So moto siya ang gitawag nga opportunity cost, 'di ba? So you need to think good carefully asa man ang mas maayo, 'di ba? Kung tan-aw nimo nga naay opportunity sa imong money nga motubo pa na siya sa sud sa credit period, ipuhunan sa siya. But make sure you can manage it properly. Kay basin di ay on the 30th day ang ending, wala na nabalik ang 10,000, so mamroblema na sad ka, 'di ba? Another consideration is that if there is a discount period. Okay? If you're a wise manager daw, you need to grab discounts. Okay? As long as you have money, makabayad ka o naka-require ang bayad within discount period. Okay? What if wala ko'y money, ma'am? Wala ko'y money pambayad within the discount period. So, pwede ko mangutang. So, ani na pud mo come in nga i-compare na sad nimo ang interest kung mangutang ka ug ang makuha nimo nga benefit kung mobayad ka within the discount period. So, na pud nimong i-compare. So, lahi na po na siya nga scenario. So, adto na siya sa working capital management. Okay? So, actually, working capital management siya nga topic. So, balik ta. So, therefore, unsa din siya sa payable deferral period. So, after all that I have explained, is it the shorter, the better, the longer, the better? What do you think? That would be the longer, the better. Again, this will apply if you're going to use the money on something that is more profitable or beneficial to the company. Because if you pay it on day 1 and day 30, it makes no difference, 'di ba? On your part. But you could have earned something else, 'di ba? If you use the money on a profitable venture, 'di ba? On investment. But you need to take note that not all the time that should be the case. If there is a discount that will be granted if you pay early, then you need to compute which is better to pay it within the discount period and get the discount, or if I will use the money in the business and I will earn this amount. Because if the earnings is greater than the discount, then you choose investing it in your business again, di ba? So, na siya na ay comparison. But accordingly, it's better to stretch your payables. Then, we have the operating cycle here. So, the operating cycle is age of receivables plus age of inventory. It tells you the number of days from the time you create your product, not from the time you create your product, from the time you purchase the merchandise or you purchase the raw materials and convert it to finished goods, diba? Duha man ng klase, pwedeng merchandising, ta pwede pong manufacturing. So, if it's merchandising, it's from the time you buy the merchandise until you sell it, and then from the selling until collection. So, mo ni siya si operating cycle. So, gi-add si age of inventory tong magama og product plus the collection period. If it's manufacturing, it's from the time you buy the raw materials until you finish the product, and then you sell it, and then you collect the money. So that's the operating cycle. If we include in the formula the age of payables, diba, the operating cycle is AR days plus inventory days. If you deduct the age of the payables, that is what we call now as cash conversion cycle. So it considers how much or how many days, or the time from the investment of your inventory to the collection, and minus the number of days that you decide to pay for your liabilities. Okay, so if we're talking about operating cycles and cash conversion cycle, the preference would be, of course, the shorter, the better. 'Di ba? You want a shorter nga operating cycle because it means nga dali ra ka makagama sa product o makakolek sa imuhang halin, di ba? So, kisa may ganahan nga dugay pa kaayo from the time nga makagama sa product, makapalit, unya makagama sa product, unya makabaligya, unya makakolekta. So, mas ganahan man gyud ta nga paspas, di ba, the operating cycle. Because the shorter the operating cycle, the more would be the number of times that we earn within the year. So, mas kadaghan ta nakapag-ginansya. Just imagine kung ang imuhang operating cycle kay 90 days. So, that is 3 months. So, sa sunso sa katuig, kapila naman ka nakaginansya, ikaw patra. 'Di ba? If your operating cycle is 30 days, so how many times a year makapaginansya? That would be 12 times, 'di ba? Kay 30 days is 1 month man. So 12 times a year. So samot na og 15 days sa imong operating cycle. 'Di ba? Mas kadaghan. So the shorter the operating cycle, the better. Then you have the fixed asset turnover, you have sales over fixed assets, then kung assets turnover, net sales, so same yun siya, net sales iyahang numerator, then denominator is katong unsay naa sa iyahang formula, that's total assets. Then days cash, average cash balance over operating cost over number of days. Then you have capital intensity ratio, total assets over net sales. So you may refer on the descriptions on the right side for what is the use of those formula. If you like this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be updated with the latest video lessons. Thank you for watching.